So yesterday we were discussing about the long data type. I hope the discussions so far are very clear. And now we will just do a small revision. It's not a revision, it's just about the understanding. So the four data types that we have been seeing so far is, so far we have been seeing data types like byte, short, integer and long, right? Byte is byte and short and int and long. So I have just introduced about the long data type yesterday, but it was all about we have completely discussed about the long data type. The only thing in the long data type is we are going to append a character L at the end of the value. That's it. But one common thing about these four data types are all the four data types are going to accept integer values. Yes or no? Integer values can be ranging from negative number to positive number, but each and every data type has a specific range, right? And also it varies from size to size. The common thing is all these data types are going to accept integer values. It is one of the observations that we need to do, right? And if you talk about the default value is 0 for all the data types. I mean, the data types which we are talking about is what the integral data types. And for long data type, the default value is going to be 0 L, right? And when you talk about size, the size for byte data type is what 1 byte, and for short it's 2 byte, and for long and for int it is 4 byte. Let us say 4 byte, and for long it is what 8 byte, right? If you want to represent this in bits, just multiply it with number 8. So 8 bits, 16 bits, and 32 bits, and 64 bits. So one more observation is what it is all the data types are the signed data types. Signature, I mean, it is going to represent both negative values as well as positive values. So these data types are also called as what? The signed data types. And if you ever had to find range, you do not have to memorize the ranges. You can calculate the range with this simple formula. The formula is like minus 2 to the power of, in this case, you can just write like this. The common formula for all these four data types is what? To the power of n minus 1 minus 2 to the power of n minus 1 to 2 to the power of n minus 1 minus 1. These things you need to remember. And we had another discussion like so the discussions were like if you want to add any two data types and the resultant values needs to be stored by the specific data type. What does it exactly mean? For example, if you have a requirement to add byte and byte, this is your requirement. This is your requirement, byte plus byte, and you should also ensure that the resultant value is getting stored in either in the integer data type or the data type above the integer data type. Right? 1 minute, I'm getting a call. Okay, you are not able to hear me so far. I was thinking that my audio was my voice is audible. Sorry about that. Are you able to hear now? My voice is clear. Hello. Okay. Let me continue. I was saying, so there were four data types that we have been discussing about for the last 4 days: the byte, short, integer, and long. And these are the default values, and this is all about the size, and this is all about the size in bits representation, and this is all about the signature, right? And this is the common formula to calculate the negative range and the positive range, right? And after this, if you want to perform addition, right, if you want to perform an addition operation by using the byte data type, the resultant value needs to be saved with the integer data type, int, right? Secondly, right, the combination of, again, if you want to perform some addition with these two operators, again, the the condition is what? The resultant value should be the integer data type, right? You can take anything, a int plus, again you can take byte, so the resultant should always be what? Integer. Now the question is, what happens? This should be your question that should be running in your back of your mind. The question is like, what if I do not about long, can I do like this: byte plus byte equal to long, right? Let us consider this example. So my question is like, let me open the notepad. If I have a data type like byte a equal to 100, and the second value is going to be byte b equal to 200, and integer c equal to a plus b. System dot out dot println. I'm trying to access the value of c, right? Let me save this. And what will be the anticipated output? We know this already, but still I am trying to understand if you have understood this. Exactly 300, right? Because this is completely a valid valid instructions. The resultant value is going to get stored in the byte data type, integer data type, right? But if I do byte, is it going to be a valid one or invalid one? Just answer me. Is it going to be a valid one or invalid one? Not valid, exactly, because we have been discussing that, isn't it? The resultant data type should be again the integer data type. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. My question is, what if I do like this? Instead of taking byte data type, what if I consider taking long data type, whether which is valid or invalid? Right? This is one of the cases that we should consider. Can you tell me the answer? Can you guess the output? Valid, sir. Okay, Chaitanya says valid. What about Samyukta, Shashwant, and Ganesh? I'm storing the resultant. Okay, Ganesh is invalid. What about Samyukta and Shashwant? Resultant value is being stored in the long data type. Is it valid or not valid? That is what my question is. If you don't know, you can say don't know, but if you know, you can answer. Valid. Okay, Samyukta says valid. Let us look into this. Let me start the compilation. Java C space hotel.java. Incompatible possible lossy conversion from. Okay, let me save this. Okay, it says it possibly lossy conversion, from integer to byte b equal to 200. This is something I have deliberately, accidentally I have done some mistake here, because 200 is not going to fit in the byte data type, isn't it? The maximum value for the byte data type is going to be what? Minus plus 127. Yes or no? Now let me run this. This is my actual question. Valid. Java space hotel dot 1 minute. Java space hotel. Answer is 120. So let me make this clear. So till yesterday I was telling you guys that the resultant data type should be the integer data type, right? But I have also mentioned that it can be integer data type and the data type that is higher than the integer data type. Try to understand. What I'm trying to say is you can use integer, or you can also use the data type that is higher than the integer data type. Both are valid. Both are going to be valid one, right? But you cannot use the other two data types, which are the byte and short. Byte cannot be used, or byte cannot be assigned to the resultant value, or short cannot be assigned to the resultant value. Apart from these two, right, you can use either integer data type or long data type, no problem. That is going to be valid one, completely valid one, right? So another question. Now I am trying to do what? See, let me make some changes here. I am taking long, right? I am taking long L, and again I am taking long B equal to 200 L. 200 L. Now think and answer me. This is the last test case. This last test case. If you understood this, we are good to go with Boolean data type. The next data type. Now you answer me. Is it a valid one or invalid one? Invalid. Ganesh says invalid. Samyukta, Chaitanya, Uswan, invalid. Everyone valid, sir, but storage. Okay, literally it is. Yeah, Chaitanya as some invalid. Okay, Chaitanya says valid but storage. Okay, the problem here is, right. Let me run just by let us check the output first. Java C space hotel.java. It says possibly lossy conversion from it. See, look at here. Look at this particular error. We copy this and put it here. This is what the error that we got, right? So the data, the identifier A as a data of long time, the identifier B as a data of long time, right? Both identifiers are assigned with the data of long time, right? Long time is going to consume what? 8 bytes of memory, isn't it? Internally 8 bytes of memory is required to perform any operation, right? But this int is designed to consume only 4 bytes of memory, right? So these values cannot get accommodated in the internet, right? It is just like, see, if you have a bucket of water, if you have a bucket of water, you cannot utilize your bucket of water, or you cannot like fill that bucket of water into a small cup, isn't it? There will be an overflow, because cup cannot hold the liters of water. The maximum chances for a cup to hold is what? Some milliliters of water, mLs of water. But bucket is going to hold 15 liters or something like 20 liters of water, but you cannot use the cup as the storage as an alternative, isn't it? Likewise, if you want to perform the addition between two long data types, right, the resultant data type should also be long, because int is a smaller data type. You cannot hold it, right? That's why we are getting an error. Okay, so we will consider another case. Let me remove this L. Let me remove this L, and let me save this. Let me save this. Now, what could be the possible output? Let me remove all this. Let me remove all this. This is valid or this is invalid? Error. Samyukta says error. Shashwant says valid. What about BG and Chaitanya? Valid. Okay. 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 Possible logic conversion. I will tell you what. Yesterday I was telling you, right? If I am see, this is a situation. The A is holding the data type long. The B is also holding data type long, right? But even though we are not specifying the data type as L, even with specification or even without specification, when these data types are getting evaluated, and getting assigned to the new data type, right? This will always expect that. So this side should be what we should consider, this side particular the the evaluation side, we can call it as, or the resultant side, right? This resultant side should always be the same data type or the bigger data type, right? No matter if you are including L or if you are not including L, right? So you might have got confused because yesterday there was a situation where I was telling you that, right? I was taking the plane example, if you remember, long aeroplane, something like that. Long aeroplane equal to I have taken a big value yesterday, right? So I was trying to get access to this big value. You remember or not? Aeroplane, right? If I try to execute this, right, then it will be like you will find that you will be getting what the integer number is too large. In this case, specification is mandatory. In this case, if I'm trying to access aeroplane, I should also ensure that the value should get appended with the character L, right? Over here, the specification is completely mandatory. But when you are doing the same thing, for example, when you are trying to, without any specification, if I want to perform an addition operation, like just like this, right? Let me take this as A, let me take this as B, right? When I try to do some evaluation in the sense, I'm just trying to perform an addition operation, right? The resultant value, the data type of the resultant value should be the same as the the operands, right? Here we have used long, here we have used long, so it must be long. That is the one of the observations that we have to make. This should also be long. Even though you append this value with L, if you don't append this value with L, no problem. When you're trying to perform the evaluation, the formula, what we call it as, the standards are going to be changed. In this case, you should make an observation. This should also be long. But if you're doing this, you're trying to add it over here, A plus B, right? So A is an integer, B is also an integer. Now we will get answer. Now no issues. But if I am trying to exceed the range, if I am trying to exceed the integer range, then I need to specify that it is a long type, right? Over here also, if I am trying to exceed the range, then I have to specify that it is a long type, right? If I am not exceeding the range, by default it will be considered as int type, right? It will be a little confusing, but with practice you will get to know about this, and it will make more clear, right? Final observation is very simple. I will keep it very simple. So these are the observations that you have to make. First one is the default value, second one is the size, and third one is the bits, fourth one is the sign, right? And this is the topmost observation that you have to remember. Int byte plus byte valid one, this is also valid one, this is also valid one. But the problem is when you are trying to access data by using the system dot out dot println, right? We are directly performing the addition. If that is the case, right, you should ensure that if you are assigning any value in the form of long data type, right, if it is a small value, no need to append L. It will, by default it is an integer, right? If it is a large value which is overflowing the capacity of integer, then it's your duty to ensure that it is a long data type. For that, we need to append that value with the letter L. As simple as that. This is one observation that we need to ensure. because this system.out.println, whatever the evaluation that you are doing here, by default it is going to consider what data type, the integer data type. Making sense? Right? I know you people might have got some confusion. Are you able to follow so far? I will introduce a few more examples for the better understanding. Shall we proceed? Say something in the chat box. Okay. Let us do a small calculator application. A simple calculator application. So I'm taking the name of the class as calculator. Since we are developing a calculator application, so far we have understood only about these four data types. On these four data types, on top of these four data types, we are going to develop an application called calculator application. So my calculator application is going to perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Right? So let us do this in this way. For example, if I have two values, 100, integer b equal to 20. Right? I have two values. I have just introduced my values. Value A is 100, value B is 20. The simple way of performing the addition operation, subtraction operation, multiplication, and so on is like, I can directly take like this: system.out.println A plus B. Right? This is not the effective way, but this is the first approach, a naive approach. Just what we call it as the layman approach. Right? This is not the optimized approach, a simple approach. So this is what we get into the mind whenever we need to develop a simple calculator application. I think this is going to give us the expected results, right? So two values I have: A equal to 100, B equal to 20. I am directly using system.out.println. Inside this, I am performing the actual operations. This is going to take care of addition, and this is going to take care of what? Subtraction. Right? And this is going to take care of multiplication, and followed by what? Division. Right? Let me save this. So the name of the application, not save, let me save it with calculator.java, because the class name should be same as the file name. Calculator.java. Calculator.java. Yes, correct. So let me open command prompt, Java C space. Calculator. This is the compilation command, and this is execution command. So we got answer 120, 80, 200, 5. But the problem here is the inputs are already taken here. Inputs are already placed while writing the program. This is not I want. This is not I want to do. This is something, we are trying to do it in a way that the values are already taken within the program. But I want to take values from the end user. I want to take values from where? I want to take values from the end user. For that, I need to follow the different approach. This is the naive approach. We copy and paste it here. This is the naive approach. Naive approach means what we call it as the first approach that is coming into your mind. So let us do some optimization. Now I am going to do some optimization. What I am going to do, I am going to take inputs from the end user. Don't worry about these lines. I will explain you. Scanner. I will explain you. Don't worry about these lines. Scanner. So I'm importing a scanner class. I'm creating an object for the scanner, and I will explain about this. What is the scanner? Right over here, I am taking a simple statement. Statement is like I'm going to ask the end user, enter the first number. Enter your first number. The end user will be entering his first number. And again, let me copy this. So again, I'm going to ask the end user, enter your second number. Second number. Don't worry about this code. I will explain you each and every line. Enter your first number, enter your second number. Okay, the user is going to enter what? He is going to enter the second number. Right? And same thing. We got numbers from the end user. Okay, I will make one more line saying that basic calculator. Some information, basic calculator, which takes only two inputs. Let me ensure if I have made any errors. Okay, everything is fine. I think. Okay, calculator, main method, and don't worry about this code. I will explain you each and every line. Let us perform the compilation and execution and see. Let us understand this approach. This is not the naive approach. This is the optimized approach. So we did some optimization from the existing code. Previously, the code was like we have already given the values. We have already placed the values in the program itself. That is not how the calculator is going to work. Calculator will be expecting inputs from the user, isn't it? Okay, we make a lot of errors usually. You need to take care of this. So we will learn a lot of things from our errors. So I always recommend you to use command prompt. Okay, compilation is successful. It means there are no errors. So now we need to run. Okay, it says what it says. Basic calculator which takes only two inputs. My first statement. Second statement, what is it? Enter your first number. Okay, let me enter 100. Enter your second number. Let me enter. This time, let me enter 20. So we got all the operation. 120. Addition is 120. Subtraction is 80. Multiplication, division. So this is optimized way. This is how we take inputs from the end user. So in this case, I have used something like these things are very weird. Very weird to you because I haven't introduced these things. But I will try to make you understand that how the execution flow happened. Then we will think about these things later, right? But you might be wondering, this is not the actual calculator application that we are looking for. So we are looking for an application, a standalone calculator application, just like this. Right? This is what your expectations are, right? When I say calculator, this is what your expectations are, right? We will also do this, but not now. After completing object-oriented programming concept, I'm going to introduce this in the concept of AWTs and swings. Right? For our understanding, this is what we can develop from our understanding and from our knowledge so far. The knowledge that we have accumulated so far is going to build an application. Which one? The application that we are seeing it here. Right? Now let me try to do what? We will try to do some tracing. And we will jump into Boolean data type after this. Okay. I'm going to give the high level outline for this particular program. Just try to put some attention here. Okay. So basic things, isn't it? The compilation, after compilation, the execution will come into picture, right? From now onwards, we will be thinking only about the main thread. Right, so main thread will be created in the execution phase. We know that already, isn't it? So main thread is going to be like this, right? And let me write this as what? Main thread. JVM is going to create main thread. The job of the main thread is what? It will try to get access to the main method and it will execute each and every instruction inside the main method, right? So main method, it has found the main method, right? Now its duty is to execute each and every instruction sequentially, top to bottom, right? So the first instruction says, nothing says, first instruction just says basic calculator with which takes only two inputs. This will be printed in the console, right? In the console, if you see in the console, console. As soon as the main thread encounters this instruction, well, let me take like this. As soon as the main thread check this instruction, it is going to do what? It is going to execute the statement. The statement is very straightforward, basic calculator which takes only two inputs, so that will be displayed in the console. Very simple. In the console, basic calculator. Okay, this is what the information is going to get into the console. Okay, the second statement says the control will be shifted to the second instruction, right? So here, if you do some observation, right, we have done something. I have just mentioned a scanner, a new keyword, something I have said. So this is called as an object creation. Don't worry much about this, right? So what it actually means is that a memory is getting allocated. Why it is getting allocated, we will discuss that in the future class. But when you say object, when you use new keyword, so if you see new keyword here, it is like a memory is getting allocated inside. A space is getting allocated, and for this space, an identity is getting created. The identity is what? SC. You can give any name. I have chosen SC, shortcut acronym for scanner. You can choose any name. An identity is getting created, right? After this, this is just like a memory allocation, right? You can also understand this like something is happening in the RAM memory. Something is happening and a space is getting created, and over here I have defined something like system.in. It means indirectly it is trying to accept inputs from the keyboard, from the system. When I say system.in, it is trying to accept inputs from the system, from this keyboard. Right, now let us go to the next line. Okay, this has happened because of because of this line, these things are happened internally. Okay, after that the control will be traversed to, or the control will be jumped to the next line. The next line is what? Simple print statement. Enter your first number. Right, in the console again what happens? The statement will be printed. Enter your first number. Right, so execution is done, and again the control will be jumped to the statement. Right, now over here what happens? See, we have just taken the integer data type, and I have said something like sc.nextInt. So this is what I said, sc.nextInt. It means the control is waiting for us, waiting for the end user. In this case, the controller is waiting for me to input the data. Right? So I need to input something. I need to input a number. What number I need to input? The number should be in the form of integer type. I need to input a number, integer number. Right? Until I do the input, or until I am entering the number, the control will not be jumped to the next line. The control will be remaining there. Right? So I am just typing 100 in the keyboard. As soon as I type 100 and give enter, what happens? This 100 is going to get assigned to the variable here. Making sense? Right? As soon as I type whatever it is, it can be 100, it can be 200, anything, any number. I need to enter some number. As soon as I enter number and I hit the enter button, right, that value will be assigned to this variable a. Why a? Because that is what we have defined here. Right, after this what happens? The control will be transferred to what? The next instruction. So okay, now we are trying to say enter your second number. So enter your second number will be displayed in the console. Enter your second number. Right, again, okay, the execution is done for this particular line, and the control will be transferred to the next line. Now again, we are using sc.nextInt again. Again, it is encountering what? sc.nextInt. next step. So the JVM will wait for the end user to accept some input. Right, this time I am trying to enter what 20. This 20 will get assigned to B. Right? If you are not entering any key, the control will not get jump to the next line. It will wait for us. Even for 1 day or 2 days, no matter what, the execution will be completed only when the user is entering some inputs. This is one input, this is second input. So two inputs are entered. After entering these two inputs, it has got to know the value of A and B. So it will keep executing each and every line. So this case 100 plus 200 will be 100 plus 20 will get substituted and the answer is going to be 120. And the control will be jumped to next line 100 minus 20, answer is going to be 80. Next 100 into 20, the answer is going to be what? 2000. 100 by 20, the answer is going to be what? 5. Right, this is what happening internally, and you don't have to worry about this for now. Just imagine that and memory is getting created for this scanner. Use scanner, it means you are expecting input from the end user, as simple as that. Right, with this knowledge we can develop this kind of calculator application. Right, not only this, we can do so many things. We can also try to calculate the square of the number. We can also try to calculate the a plus b whole square, right, Pythagoras theorem. So many basic formulas that can be substituted by using this example. You can do so many lot of mathematical solutions. You can create a lot of solutions just by using these simple statements. Right, making sense so far? Able to follow? Still no? Yes, no? Maybe? Hello? Yeah. Tomorrow you do one thing, you try to do some practice with to take two inputs from the end user, right? With those two inputs, calculate a plus b whole square or a minus b whole square. Take three inputs and find Pythagoras theorem and do so many things. Perimeter of a square and rectangle. You can do things like that. I will also give you some problems and try to solve it. Now the next topic is we have let me complete this Boolean data type. So far integral data types are completed. Now we will work on Boolean data type. So the Boolean data type is the smallest data type in the Java. Very smallest, very I can say that it is going to consume the least memory in Java. When you say Boolean, there are two possible values the Boolean data type is going to store. Two possible values. That is accepted by the Boolean data. So when you say Boolean, so Boolean is a case sensitive, so it should be, this is how you say, right? This is how you use it in the program. Boolean, case sensitive. So the two possible values that are Boolean, which are true and false, right? This is used to check conditions. That's it. This is used to track or check some conditions. When you talk about conditions, the condition either says it is true or it is false. Conditional checks. For conditional checks, you go for Boolean data type. It has its own significance. There are a lot of places where you will be depending upon this particular Boolean data type. Right? So when you talk about size, it is going to, it consumes only one bit of space. One bit of memory, I can say. But in theory, if you refer textbooks, most of the time, the size is not precisely defined. Means They say 1 bit, but internally the consumption, it is not exactly as 1 bit. There are some internal manipulations, right? If you get any question like this in an interview, you can directly say that it is going to consume 1 bit of memory. At the same time, it is not precisely defined. I can say that the size is not precisely defined, right? So 1 bit, how you can represent a 1 bit? Very simple. This is one box. One box is enough to represent 1 bit, isn't it? 1 bit, right? When I say Boolean check equal to true, right? This is the data type. This is the identifier name. This is the possible value. It can be true. It can be false. When I say true, this true will be converted. This true will be converted by the compiler as 1. This the value 1 will be saved in the memory. As simple as that. And this memory location is assigned with the variable name check. Very simple. When I say Boolean check equal to false, right? Internally, what happens? A block of memory will be created. Right? This false will not get stored directly inside the memory. This false will be converted to a binary number. Internally, conversion is like false represents 0, true represents 1. As simple as that. Right? This false will get converted to a binary number. The binary number is what? 0. Right? And this check variable name will be assigned to this particular memory location. As simple as that. Right? So only 1 bit, it can the size of the Boolean data type is only single bit, but there are at any point of time you can store only one value. Either it can be 1 means what? True, or it can be 0 means what? False. Right? You can either store 1 or you can either store 0. 1 is representing what? True. 0 is representing what? False. Where we will be using all this? There are so many cases that we will depend on this Boolean data type. In the future, when we start developing programs on the top of object-oriented futures, there I will introduce this. For now, this knowledge is sufficient. Right? So let us understand this with a small program. Let me remove this. Boolean check. It can be anything. You can keep check, or you can keep. So I can keep a condition like is open. Condition is like is hotel open. Right? Yes, it is open means true. It is not making any sense, but what my intention is that what kind of values that we are going to store. You cannot store 0 or 1. That is not the case. Like you can either assign true or false. Internally, the conversion will happen in the form of zeros and ones. Just introducing the idea behind this. Total. True. Right? If I can either save true or I can either store false. Internally, the conversion will happen and it will be taken care by the what? Or by the compiler, right? So the conversion is equal to what? For true, it is going to be 1. For false, it is going to be 0. As simple as that. Right? So false. This time false. Nothing. I have assigned a identifier and I am trying to access this identifier. The value is false. True. I cannot. Can I do this? What happens if I do this? Sir, you already said that internet is going to store zeros and ones. Does it mean that I can use this? No. The moment you introduce 1, by default, this 1 is going to be considered as an integer data. Both are traveling in the different boards. You cannot compare, you cannot introduce the numerical values in Boolean, or you cannot do the vice versa. Boolean is meant for Boolean only, right? You cannot do or 1 or 0. You can do, you can assign true or false. Internally, the conversion will happen on top of this assignation, on top of this true and false conditions. Making sense? It's valid. Okay, what if I do this? Valid or invalid? Consider that the Java is case sensitive. Now you tell me valid or invalid. Java is case sensitive programming language. Now you tell me this is valid or invalid. Java is case sensitive. Ganesh, what about you? Okay. This will not be recognized. I'm saying not false because case sensitive I said no. You cannot use capital F. Capital F cannot be recognized by Java. False. It thinks it is a kind of some other instruction. Only the acceptable values are the true in lowercase letter and false in lowercase letter. Right? These are acceptable. This is not acceptable because see, the first letter is in caps. Java is a case sensitive programming language. It means it is strictly typed programming language. It will look into the cases. Compiler will not be happy. Making sense? So this is invalid. This is invalid. Making sense? And also see when this Boolean also, have you ever seen the data types with capital letters so far? The short is also small, byte is also small. It's in lowercase, that's what I mean. The int is also in lowercase, everything is in lowercase, all the data types are in lowercase. Have you observed that? Right? You cannot assign this in the other way. You cannot use the upper cases, right? So we'll see more problems on this. This is valid. Right? Okay, now default value. Default value comes into picture when you are trying to declare these data types in the class level scope. For example, now you tell me, think and tell me. Yesterday I was telling you about DI, declaration, initialization, and assignation. This should be this. This is the sequence, isn't it? Yes or no? Right? This is valid or invalid now? Tell me. Valid or invalid? Invalid. Yes, correct. Invalid. Yes, because initialization is missing. So before accessing it, the compiler will check whether the value for this particular identifier is initialized or not. The initialization is missing, so it is completely invalid. But when I bring in the concept of default values, so see, might not have been initialized. Direct answer. Compiler says, brother, please try to perform the initialization, then do the compilation. Directly decide with them. So this, now you tell me this is valid or invalid. Think and tell me, because now I have declared the data in this class level scope. Very popular interview question. Might be wondering if you ever get this kind of questions, but these are the actual questions that you are going to fix. Valid or invalid? Ganesh, Chaitanya, Sashwan, Samyukta. Don't know. Okay. Don't know. Okay. Same thing, right? Same thing applies. Yesterday also we have discussed these things. So when you want to get to know about the default values, right? So outside the class level, I mean, if you are declaring a variable outside the method, outside the method, it is not required to follow this DIA, declaration, initialization, and accessing. It's not really required. This DIA will come into picture only if you're initializing, if you are declaring the variable inside the method. Inside the method, you check this rule. Outside the method, not necessary. Only if you forgot to initialize and if you just did the declaration, it is completely fine. It's going to print what default value, right? So let me run this, you will understand. See, no compilation error. The default value is false. This is an idea. The idea is like when you're not declaring any value, when you're not assigning any value, the compiler will internally assign some value. That is called what we call it as what default value. So for Boolean data type, the default value is what false. Making sense? For integer data type, the default value is 0, for short 0, for byte 0, and for long 0L. Likewise, for Boolean data type, the default value is false, not true. Usually, everyone are assuming it as true. It is not true. Default value is what false. Making sense? Right? So you try to repeat the video, the yesterday's videos, and I will put yesterday's video about the scopes, class level scope and the method level scope. If you are declaring the variable in the method level, so now you tell me, Boolean is total open. So now you tell me. Before even answering, let me tell you one again. Let me reiterate. So duplication is there. Is total open? Is total open? Duplicate variables. But look at the scope. This is local scope. This is local scope. This is class level scope. So both are in the different scope. So acceptable, valid, acceptable. Now you tell me, if I try to access is total open, this is total open is going to depend on the local variable because it is able to find this variable name in the local scope itself. But the question is valid or invalid. You have understood this? Now you tell me. Ganesh, you have said false. It was correct, Ganesh. Yes, invalid. Samyukta, Chaitanya. Chaitanya said invalid. Samyukta, Shashwant. What are your answers? I am looking for your inputs. Invalid. Okay. Yes, it's invalid. You are correct. Why invalid? DIA. Declaration is there and we are trying to access, but initialization is missing. So that's why invalid. Okay. Proof. Let me run this. Invalid. Right. I think check these conditions before even guessing the output. Look at these conditions. What is that condition? DIA. This DIA is applicable for local variables. Right? DIA is not applicable for class, not applicable for class level variables. Okay, I was just saying that DI is applicable for local variables and not for class level variables. And this DI thing is just for our understanding. Don't not tell in the interview room that DI. Okay, just for our understanding, just for our memorization. That's it. D means declaration, I means initialization, A means access. Okay, any doubts so far? Right? This is all about Boolean data type, nothing else. And I know that this logic key is not making any sense, but in future when we are trying to develop big applications over there, we will understand the importance of Boolean data type. Very, very important data type. Okay, tomorrow the concept is going to be very interesting. We are going to discuss about the character data type. Character data type and character data type as well as the Unicode system and as well as the concept of hexadecimal numbers, right? Also we will try to understand how the other languages, not apart from English, how you can introduce or you can write something in your native language like Tamil, Telugu, things like that, how these things are supported by Java. These concepts we will discuss tomorrow. Very, very important concept in the interview room. Okay. Okay. That's all for the day. If you have any doubts, you can post your doubts now, or else we can wind up.